Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel, Roaming Michigan Together.
And today's adventure is taking us to Frankenmuth, Michigan, where we'll be taking a cruise on the Bavarian Belle, and we're inviting you to come along. So if you're ready, please follow us. Alright guys, this is what we're going to be taking our cruise on, the Bavarian Belle. Alright, let's go get our tickets. Alright guys, we're getting ready to board the Bavarian Belle.
Yeah, I agree. Popcorn. I thought I smelled popcorn.
Is a true flat-bottom, paddle-wheel driven Mississippi riverboat. It was built on the Mississippi River in 1981 in La Crosse, Wisconsin. It was taken down the Mississippi to Evansville, Indiana, operated for 5 years on the Ohio River. Then it went to Arkansas, operated 15 years on the Arkansas River. 23 years ago, we went to Arkansas, bought the boat, changed the name, had 2 huge trucks bringing up here to Michigan. It weighs over 60 tons, has a capacity of 150 plus crew. That many were on board. 140 could be up here on the upper deck, all squeezed over along the rail on one side. The boat would still be stable. So you can move around all you want. The boat is not going to move under you. You go between decks anytime. You gotta walk on in front of the pilot house on the upper deck, that's okay. You can stand out there. Captain can see by you, not a problem. The whistle's out there, so wait for us to blow that. You don't want to be there when that happens. We'll do that right after we leave the dock. Once you hear it, you can move around all you want. There are not too many horns you can feel when you blow them. I really do think it would be fun to put one of these on an SUV. I'm sure some of you looked down at the boat and thought it wouldn't fit under these bridges. Actually, it doesn't. You just go back and forth in here. Off the front, going down to an A-frame on the bow. When they came to a low bridge, half the crew would get on the bow, half the crew would get behind the stacks. The crew in the back would pull back on the lines, while the crew in the front let the A-frame come up. The stacks would retract. After they did that, they cleared the bridge. They reversed that process. That was dangerous because the stacks were so tall and heavy. They were also hot and full of soot because they directly exhausted the boilers. Somebody finally figured out the problem was not the tall stack. It was just the top of it. So they simply moved the hinge up toward the top, put a counterweight on the outside so one person could easily tip them back. The top of our stacks weigh about 100 pounds, but when we pick up on the iron bar on the outside, they feel virtually weightless. The only problem in tipping our stacks back, because they're not functional, they can fill up with water. But that only affects people up here in the first class seats. We do have a name for it. We call it riverboat baptism, but we don't charge extra for that. We normally clear the bridge by about 18 inches, but in marine navigating to 1890. We're on the Cass River. The Cass was named after Lewis Cass. He was only 31 years old at the time. He had already been. Since it's been in place was 1986. The water went all the way up to the top of the concrete wall. It came within an inch of going over the top. If it would have been 4 feet deep in the Bavarian Inn restrooms. It looked like onion domes. They're actually called onion domes. Seems kind of like a weak name, but that's what they're called. Those are common in Bavaria. Bavaria is a fairly large portion of Germany. At one time, it was a separate kingdom, and that's where the settlers of Frankenmuth originated. The Cass River is very shallow. Out from our dock is the deepest portion of this part of the river. It's 12 to 15 feet deep there. Right here, it's only 6 or 7 feet deep. But that's one of the advantages of a true flat-bottom riverboat. This is built exactly like the Mississippi riverboats. The hotel on the left side of the boat opened in 2007. It's named after Marv Herzog. Marv was a polka band leader. He lived his life here in Frankenmuth and was known around the world. His wife was involved in building the hotel and named it after him. It took some time to complete the structure. Over 100 years was a brewing company. It opened in 1862 as Cass River Brewing. It later became Geyer Brothers. They brewed Frankenmuth beer and also Pioneer Ale. In 1996, they were still in business. A tornado came through Frankenmuth, did a lot of damage, and also destroyed several homes, and destroyed a good part of this building. It is Frankenmuth Brewery's restaurant. Also up ahead of us on the left is a yellow building, a red brick building, and some silos. That is Star of the West Milling Company. Star of the West is a major supplier in the United States of flour that's used for making pie crust and also cookies. And that's because they mill Michigan white wheat, which is very low in gluten, and it's ideal for that purpose. If you've ever had any Sara Lee products or Pepperidge Farm products, or perhaps a pie from McDonald's restaurants, you've had Star of the West flour. First thing that pops up is a video of a spiny softshell running. It's scary. Turtles should not go that fast. On the right side of the boat is Heritage Park. Looks a lot like any other city park with soccer fields and softball diamonds, but it's also the site of many festivals throughout the year. The 4 largest are the Bavarian Festival, the neatest family events in Frankenmuth. Also, the Oktoberfest is the only one outside the original in Munich, Germany, that's sanctioned by the German government. The first Oktoberfest was held in Munich in 1810 as a 3-week celebration for the wedding of King Ludwig and Princess Teresa. Wally Broner's house. In the wintertime, the leaves are on the ground and sets out in the open. It is a unique house that looks like it would fit nicely on the side of a mountain in Bavaria. Wally Broner was the founder of Broner's Christmas Wonderland in Frankenmuth, the world's largest Christmas store. He started in business in 1945, the year he graduated from high school. He was a very area were very clean and pristine. But as more and more farmland was killed, more silt ended up in the rivers. There's a lot of fish in this river, a lot of bass and also pickerel. This river flows into the Tittabawassee, which is a world-class walleye tournament fishing river, and it looks just like this. There's also a lot of wildlife along the river. If you look at the road that goes all the way up around the bend in the river, there are a lot of deer. At the right time of the year, we see a lot of new fall blue heron. The great blue heron is a very large bird. Stands over 3 feet tall. It stands very still in shallow water along the shore. They wait for a fish to swim by, and when it comes along, they just reach down and snatch it up. The great blue heron is common in the northern states in the U.S. and also Canada. This river is about 65 miles long. It gets its water from several tributaries up in the Bavaria. A lot of it comes off farmland. It flows eventually into the Shiawassee River, the Tittabawassee River, the Saginaw, however, there's a dam about 300 feet west of our dock that keeps the level up. That dam was put there over 100 years ago as a power source for a mill. In the 1980s ago. Talking about bald eagles, something about bald eagles, most people don't know this. Bald eagles tail and they become an adult. Before that, they're a juvenile bald eagle. So if you see a bald eagle flying around with a white head, white tail, you also know it's at least 5 years old. They live to be, on average, 25 years. So lifespan is usually 20 to 30 years. So average is 25. The cloth roof on the upper deck was steel, and the pilot house sat 12 feet behind where it is right now, and it was 2 stories tall. It was built that way so it could have a third deck added. They never needed one, and if we put one on, there's no way we'd get under the covered bridge. So the first thing we did was cut the steel off the roof. We cut 7 feet off the pilot house and moved it forward so the captain could still see over the bow 5 days. But because of bad weather, with ice in the south and snow up here in the north, it took over 2 months. It could not travel on interstates because it would shut down one direction of an interstate. It had to travel on Class 8 state highways and U.S. highways, and every time it did that, it required at least 5 police cars to escort it. It sat for a month in Angola, Indiana, waiting for the station. That was typical of riverboats in the 1800s. They used fine hardwoods throughout. In fact, Mark Twain even said that riverboats were floating palaces. The pilot house also been in Michigan, where we would have a very short 30-mile trip on a truck that very simply got too late in the year. Many times in the fall and also the spring, the Mississippi River flows south at 6 miles per hour, sometimes faster. This boat cruises at 7 or 8 miles an hour. If you do the math, you would realize. He was described as an engineer, designer, and hand builder of covered bridges. This particular bridge was built on land on the east side of the river, and it was built all by hand. It took them 2 years to build it, and while they were doing that, a contractor was putting the concrete bridge piers in the river bottom. When they got done building the bridge, they jacked it up and they put timbers under it. They extended the timbers out across the bridge piers to the west shore. They put log rollers under the bridge, attached a cable to the end of the bridge, extended that across to the west shore, put block of tackle in the cable and wrapped the end of it around the capstan on the west shore. For 12 days, 2 oxen walked around the capstan every day, pulling the bridge a few feet farther out across the bridge piers until they got it in place. They jacked it up, took the timbers and logged way down so it doesn't rattle when cars and buses go over, and metal braces that hold the bridge itself down to the bridge piers so it doesn't blow off the bridge piers in the wind. The name of the bridge is Holzbrücke, which means wooden bridge. On the left side of the boat, the sidewalks and docks you see were part of the construction. That waterfall is the second highest in the southern peninsula of Michigan, but it's not natural. When you get off the boat, you can see an aluminum head in the dock.